Apparently, they dragged me on Twitter. I don't give a fuck because Twitter's not a real place.
Twitter? Oh, no, don't be trying to Twitter me, boy.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Hip Hop Twitter. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Twitter and other podcasts like Championship Rounds Podcast. If you don't know, and maybe you're stumbling across this episode and you're like, yo, this show is kind of cool. We have 1 and almost 2 seasons of content available on every streaming platform you could think of, from Apple Music to Spotify and the home base Anchor. So if you use these podcasting apps, or maybe you use a third-party app like Pocket Cast, search for Hip Hop Twitter, hit that subscribe button, and check out the content. Now, with me, as always, you know him on the show, my co-host, Yentz. What's good, man?
What's up, how you doing?
I'm good, man. It's been a lot going on and a lot of nothing going on all at the same time, man. I know that don't make sense to some of you motherfuckers, but who cares? It's just kind of how it goes. That's just life sometimes, man. Really quick, did you dress up for Halloween?
No.
I was a normal human for Halloween. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I heard the grown man pause there. Yeah, he had the grown man pause like, I ain't dressing up. Dressing up is when I go to work. That's my damn costume. God damn it. My dress up. My kids are grown and out the game for the most part.
Right.
But, you know, decorate the outside of the house. We have some candy for the kids in the neighborhood who come through. I will say some of these kids, man, they have it way better than us with these costumes because, I mean, this one family came through. The father was dressed like Willy Wonka. The mother was dressed like a Oompa Loompa, and they had like a baby with him who was also dressed like a Oompa Loompa. And I'm not talking about a cheap costume and makeup. I mean, like off a movie set. And I was like, damn, they look good, man. Take some extra candy, shit. You know,
right.
Like I appreciate the efforts, you know, for people who really dress up like that for Halloween. You know, just shows that, you know, some people don't mind having a little fun and not taking life so serious. But Yentz, this is a different episode for y'all, for the people who are listening, right? Every now and again, Twitter can get a little dry with the comments and the tweets. Or maybe there's something going on where everybody's focused. Unfortunately, in this case, has been a lot of drama from, you know, more rappers dying to Kanye West doing what he does. But I have something for Hip Hop Twitter.
Vegas, what the is going on Hip Hop Twitter?
Hip Hop Twitter is dead.
Oh,
Elon Musk. Let me explain. Let me explain. We're going to get serious with y'all, but we're going to get informative, right? So for those who don't know, whether you use Twitter or not, Elon Musk, yes, from Tesla and that Tesla truck that never came out that belongs in RoboCop or something like that, he has purchased Twitter for billions of dollars. It's official. He fired upper management. He is now the CEO of Twitter. Prior to purchasing Twitter, he used to battle Twitter about how Twitter did things, the company. Now he owns it. But prior to buying it also, he, I'm going to say threatened in this case, to invite Donald Trump back to Twitter. And his whole thinking behind not only the purchase, but what he feels Twitter represents is freedom of speech. Now, in a lot of ways, right, on Hip Hop Twitter, we kind of talk about that, right? It's people with tweets giving their opinions about hip hop. And we also talked about in the last episode what brought me to Twitter, what brought Yentz to Twitter, and things of that nature. Well, just for some context, Yentz, before I get to you and how you feel, he has not only fired most of upper management and taking control, but He also plans to lay off about 50% of the staff. Also, it's kind of crazy. I had to pull some notes to the side to see everything because it's hard to keep up with. Twitter Blue, which is a paid service, so you can get extra features to use on Twitter. Not many people we know use them. Well, it might become a thing that's necessary if you want to continue to use Twitter in the ways you're accustomed to using it. There's talks of $8 a month to keep your verification check, which makes me wonder, will it be easier to get a check now because you have to pay for it? Because he may do that, right? Also, videos, like posting videos of certain sizes and times, well, that might be locked behind a paywall as well. A number of things. He says that it's going to continue to be what it is, but if you want to take advantage of the algorithm, which we all know on social media platforms can be a problem, right? Because if you post semi all the time, there's no guarantee that the people who follow you will see your tweet based off of the algorithms, based off of, are they looking at latest tweets or highlighted tweets? What's a highlighted tweet? Do you have to pay to be featured in there? It's this rabbit hole of things that you, not you, Yentz, but you, the Twitter user, thought was just something you use to talk about hip hop. Yentz, do you think as a result of these changes to not only things that maybe you won't use, but things that you're accustomed to using, potentially changing, potentially being locked behind a paywall on Twitter, do you think hip hop Twitter will be dead? Or are we moving to some other platform?
This is pretty crazy. And it sounds like this is going to be constantly changing too, from what you're saying. So it sounds bad. It sounds like it could very well kill not only hip hop Twitter, but any, sports talk Twitter. That might go away too then, if we're talking about like the usage of the videos, if I'm understanding you right, the paying for different things. It almost seems like you'll have, of course, ESPN or any like big media thing, would be able to just continue even with the changes. But for the regular person like myself, I don't know if I'd be willing to be paying. I mean, of course, I could care less about the verification. So I don't see myself being interested in paying $8 to be whatever verified means to whoever. But I don't know, man. All of that sounds way crazy. Only as far as Elon Musk taking over, that's about as much as I know. So you bringing this news out to me now is eye-opening, to say the least.
And you know what? That's the thing that, to me, made this appropriate for this podcast, right? Hip Hop Twitter is really based off of our experiences with, the rest of hip hop fans on Twitter. But if the usage changes, like, for example, like I said, with verification, right? Me and you, we don't care if we have a blue check next to our profile. But if Yentz posts a tweet that I would like to see, or because Yentz isn't verified, and now it's kind of become a space where people are running to get verified just so their tweets are seen, I may never see Yentz's tweet. There's even talk about paywalls regarding DMs. Not just, I got to pay in order to DM Yentz, but the structure as we know is going to change. Now, here's some more context, because it's a lot, Yentz. It's a rabbit hole, and I'm only scratching the surface.
Right.
Most people don't know, because I follow, a lot of tech, and I like to follow business, but don't know that Twitter is not profitable. Twitter is not the biggest. Twitter's not the biggest earner. Facebook makes close to $1 billion in months. Well, because they have all these, multiple ways of gaining revenue, Twitter doesn't have that. And Twitter's stock, maybe up until the last couple of years, at one point, let's say 10 years ago, when I first learned about the Robinhood app, maybe a little bit more than that, right? You know the Robinhood app, right?
Nope.
So the Robinhood app is an app where you can buy stock. Kind of cuts out the middleman, having a stockbroker to, give you advice and purchase stock for you. The Robinhood app is a way for you to go directly and purchase stock in public companies. Twitter used to be as low as $10 a share, which is really low. Like if you got the bread, you could buy a couple shares, in the company, but a lot of people didn't. And maybe a couple years ago, they went to like 15 and then they kind of doubled to like 30. And I think they were around 40. Now, granted, places like Facebook, it was like 200 plus or whatever, but Twitter was public and it wasn't really worth that much in comparison. But what's eye-opening, because we talk about hip hop Twitter and how popular it is. I mean, we created a podcast based off of it, right? Twitter's more popular than it's worth, right? You would think Twitter just has the most people. It makes just as much money as every other platform, but it just doesn't. So a lot of what Elon Musk is doing, sorry to say, is not really bad business, because he just bought this company and it's influential and it's popular and all that good stuff. But you have to be aggressive in order for it to be profitable. You already gave it the bag. You know what I'm saying? The people who got the money, they good. But now it's yours. And you don't want this. This is the scary part, Jens, when it comes to hip hop. I know we're not talking about hip hop, but this is important. If this doesn't become profitable in the hands of Elon Musk, well, it could potentially go away. It could potentially, right? It could potentially be sold to Facebook or, Meta. Nobody wants that. Except for your grandma and your papa and all of them who use it. Oh, I'm on the Twitter now.
Yes, indeed.
How you use it? Same way, okay. But you know what I'm saying? It's when you look at all of these potential changes, and this is like all within a couple of days, right? Like he's had all these ideas, and it's like, like he sacked the city, killed the king, metaphorically, took the throne, and just instantly started making changes to laws, like radical changes on that both sides don't like, just all kinds of craziness. But it just makes me wonder, will people take their conversations elsewhere? So Jens, I say to you, we know how hip hop is. Do people either know or give a fuck?
Probably not. I think everybody's kind of waiting though. Like if you saying all this is like way crazy to me. Like I'm just trying to like just really think about what you're saying, and like the whole time Elon Musk was rumored to be doing exactly what he's done now. It didn't seem like it was gonna happen at one point, and now that it has happened, and at the rate that he's moving, I think it's gonna the average Twitter user to really like understand what's happening or what's gonna happen. Like I even with you saying this, I'm having a hard time understanding like how is Twitter not hasn't been making the kind of money, and like what would he do? What would he do to make it profitable like a Facebook? How would he use some of the same I guess, business model that Facebook use, and what does that mean for the average Twitter user once all this is man, this is crazy. This is a crazy subject.
Yeah, it's kind of perfect for the show. But
Right.
I think this is what, and obviously this is all, some of it has happened, right? All that, becoming a CEO and firing other CEOs is true, and upper management. But I think for the average user of Twitter, it will change slightly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're a heavy user, but you already wasn't paying, there may be parts of it that will change for you. For example, like if he puts direct messaging behind a paywall of some sort, well, that changes the use of it for a lot of people. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of people who tweet, but also, have group chats, right?
Right.
Like it could be where he says, okay, Yentz in Vegas can direct message each other one-to-one, but you can't have no more than 3 people in there
Wow.
without paying. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Like those are the kind of ways you can say it's still free, but if you want to do this extra thing, you gotta pay.
Mm-hmm. So then, all right. Well, let me ask you this then. So what happens to the newly established communities? How is that gonna go moving forward? Like, what happens to the communities?
Honestly, what I think is going to happen is I think there are things he wants to do, and we can get into some of that because he's been tweeting like crazy. But I think there's some things he wants to do that are either new or he thinks they should have been in there, and they don't come with a paywall. I think anything that's in high demand, like editing your tweets, which is stupid because every other social media site lets you do it for free.
Right.
But putting that behind a paywall is also stupid. But I think in general, something like communities, depending on the popularity of that feature and any feature, will determine whether it remains free, disappears, or gets behind a paywall. Because if he sees potential in the metrics of communities, okay, maybe he feels like, all right, well, it's too far gone to charge people to host one, but maybe I can add some enticing features where now you have to pay for it, or what they do like on YouTube and all of that. You charge people like on Instagram. You can say, hey, look, they already have it. You want to get exclusive tweets, Yentz? You're going to have to pay for those. You want regular tweets like, yo, I'm outside, that's for free. But you want the tweet where I get saucy and spicy, well, you're going to have to subscribe to my profile.
So like an OnlyFans type person? Oh, you saying like, because like I would think that would be some kind. That would be a way for Twitter to make money, I guess. Because you see it all the time. All these OnlyFans things. What happens to those particular accounts? Like, how do you?
Well, look, it depends, right? Because Instagram already has that feature, right? If I activate it on my Instagram, everybody who follows me will see that now they can subscribe to, I don't know, my DMs or some dumb something like it's tied to something that you already had access to, but now I'm putting it behind a paywall. But they're also eating off of that as well. And obviously, everybody can't do that because, what's the sense in paying if no one's going to join? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's a way of getting influencers and, celebrities and stuff like that. And I think it's no different than how Instagram stories and TikTok took some of Snapchat's shine, but Snapchat still exists and people still use it. So I don't think OnlyFans would take a huge hit, because just because they're putting these things behind a paywall doesn't mean you can do what some people do with OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry. Let me ask you this then. What happens to Spaces? Could Spaces turn to something that would be put behind a paywall, as you're saying?
It could. I mean,
Wow.
again, like, look at it this way, right? In any business situation or any manager's job, right? You get this job as this manager, or to run this department, or to run this company, and the first thing you ask for, or one of the first things, is metrics on everything, because you're trying to gauge on what's working and what's not. What are people using all the time that we should put behind a paywall? What's the consequences of putting that behind a paywall? Oh, okay, everybody's going to bounce. All right. Well, what if we add something that enhances that experience, but we put that feature behind a paywall? So you can still do Spaces, but now we created it where everybody's on a video instead of an avatars or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's ways that they can add to the technology that will entice people who use it. Because that's just what happens. People, I'll say this, and not to nerd out. I know you're like, where the hip hop? But it makes sense. Trust me, it makes a lot of sense, because it's about Twitter. But one of the things that's bubbling under the surface for social media is that, all in all, it has peaked. It may not feel like it. You may still be having a good time. It may feel like the same social media, but in a lot of ways, it's peaked. And they're looking for what's the next step. And Facebook has been aggressive, but like I said, we don't care what Mima and them doing over there. But the point is, avatars, virtual worlds. No longer are you a profile picture and some words. Now you're what we have on hip hop Twitter. You're this avatar that can step into this world every day, right? And do everything you already doing, arguing about hip hop. But now it's a bunch of avatars in this virtual world sitting around arguing about, is Illmatic the Bible, and why do I have it under my pillow? Or they should put it in hotel drawers. But you know what I'm saying? It's, I guess, and I say all of this for those listening, to say, as much as we enjoy talking about hip hop and debating hip hop on Twitter, Yance, I'm gonna pose this to you. What would you do if that went away in the way you know it to be on hip hop Twitter?
Me, I'd have to depend on you, because, as you know, Twitter is my only is the only social media that I participate in. So it would be a phone call to you to say, hey, what's the next app that we need to be on so we can talk about hip hop again? Because I only do Twitter. So if Twitter goes away, I'll be dialing people's phone numbers.
Right. You're gonna go get your rotary phone and pull up on people like, yeah, man, what album's out?
The hip hop 1-900 number.
Right, 1-900. Here go the albums. I think in general, there are so many platforms that if it ever got to a point where people just started heading out, I think word would travel as to what's the best spot to be. And then, that's where groups of individuals will go. Will it be the same? I don't know, because Twitter is really unique. And I think we're all attracted to its specific uniqueness. Like, even though I may be on several platforms, I don't want to take, me watching sports and tweeting about it, or me giving a comment about hip hop and commenting about it and exclusively over to Instagram, because that requires posting a video, a picture, and DMs, whereas Twitter is all about threads. Honestly, where I think everybody would go is where the kids are. Discord. You ever heard of Discord?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Believe it or not, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I think places like that where it's reminds you of Twitter, right? It's probably more or less like how forums used to be, but it's more in that Reddit, space. But it's kind of the same thing in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of people, on hip hop Twitter who love to engage with each other and, and debate and all that stuff will find platforms like that, like a Reddit, like a Discord, home, because Instagram is a different model. Even social media apps like Vero, which I also use, which I kind of like, but it's more Instagramish than anything. But there's a lot of celebrities that prefer to use that because, to be honest, Jens, it's not as toxic as people on Twitter. So I think it's honestly going to scatter some stuff. So now, really quick, I'm going to tell you what the tweets have been. No, he didn't tweet about hip hop. But now that you're afraid, Twitter, life support ass, he's been going at anyone who has a problem with anything he's saying with Twitter. Even posting memes, right? And one of these memes he posted actually makes sense, right? It's a drawing of a person smiling at a $8 cup from Starbucks that they will drink in 30 minutes. And then below that is that same person is angry and crying. I don't know why they're wearing glasses. I guess that's how Twitter cats look. Or maybe this appearance rapper. I don't know. But this person is looking at the same price tag for a blue check, the verification check, for 30 days. He has a point. People spend money on things all the time. Things that last less than 30 minutes, things that are unhealthy for you. But something like a Twitter or any other service that you use religiously, you're not willing to pay the same amount for more time. I'm telling you, man, okay, so let's just get into this so people don't get upset and like, oh man, this episode's not even about hip hop. Jens, do you see yourself eventually, depending on what happens, just leaving Twitter altogether to either go somewhere else or just, I'm gonna just go to this website because they got all the news and they got, comment section, and that's kind of where I get my fill. Is that your fate, or do you see yourself just riding out Twitter until the wheels fall off?
I think I would like to stick it out. I think right now, because nobody really knows exactly where this thing's gonna go because of this takeover, and he's moving swiftly, and he's firing all these people, and there's a couple of new things, the $8 a month verification thing that's kind of sticking in people's side a little bit. I don't think it's gonna continue on some like crazy madman takeover thing. At least that's what I want to believe. So I don't see myself like just bailing out until like something really crazy that I couldn't be okay with. But I would at the moment I'm sticking it out.
For me, I feel the same way. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, Jens, the crazy madman taking over, you just need to go to his profile and you'll see it's already happened. You just you just don't know yet.
Right.
Or y'all are finding out now. But it's already happening. He's already doing things to the point where it's been said that he told the developers to add a specific feature by November 7th or they're fired. It will happen.
Wow.
But I feel the same way as you. You know, stick it out, see how much it changes for me. He's talking a lot about choice. And he's also getting rid of some of the things that some people don't like about Twitter, which for me is a plus, like verifications. Because if you know the verification process, it's always been whack and it's always favored big business, basically people with money and power, people you already know, right? They don't need a blue check to be verified. But Mr. Podcaster over here or Mr. YouTube video over here, who has a decent following, wouldn't be able to get a blue check in the old Twitter system. But here's a tweet from Elon Musk saying, Twitter's current lords and peasants system for who has or doesn't have a blue check mark is bullshit. Power to the people. Blue for $8 a month. That's a double-edged sword, Jens, because that means homie with the 2 followers that says Coogee rap is not that great will have a blue check because he has $8.
Verified. That's right.
Right.
Be verified.
And that means you may have 5 people who you love to hop on and watch their tweets that now you can't even see them because all these blue checks get to jump the line first. That's the scary part.
So that, all right. So let me see if I'm understanding right. To being verified gives you full access to Twitter. Is that what you're saying? Like if you're verified, there's nothing you'll miss.
If you pay $8 a month, not only will you be verified and your tweets will get a boost in the algorithm amongst your followers or even people who don't know you, but also you will get access to probably some pre-existing features along with some new features. It will be a new experience for you, but you're paying for it. So if you want more, you just pay for it.
It's available, for that price.
Right. He also says, and let me just really quick on the same thread about verification, this will also give Twitter a revenue stream to reward content creators. So that's what I mean, Jens. It's almost like a double-edged sword because if you know somebody who's a content creator and they got great content and they got a decent following, but it's stayed there for however long because regardless of how many times they promote, tweet, whatever, they just can't get the exposure to new fans because that's what it's about, the new fans. This kind of gives them a leg up because it's almost like with video games, right? There's the people who play Call of Duty for hours and unlock everything, and there are those who buy everything.
Right.
So do you want to be seen? Do you have something to promote? You may have to consider the $8 because it will benefit you, right? That content creation, that exposure will turn into dollars for you. So maybe the $8 you put into it based off of Twitter is worth it.
Right. It makes sense. It makes sense in that, in that regard. Yeah, I could see. Right. I could see somebody who's a content creator who's probably been creating content for a long time, not verified, now becoming verified and seeing, some things happen that wasn't happening before the verification. So right. I think in that regard, if you're that person, then I think it's, I mean, you're investing in yourself, I guess, in a way. Why not do it? Why have a problem with it if it was to do that
Right.
for you?
Well, lastly, I'm going to say, and it's really just a response to what you just said, it's actually going to be a problem because now everybody can do it. It's remember, like back in the day, if you had a record deal, you could rap.
Right.
Well, now you don't even need a record deal. So now it's oversaturated.
Yeah. Oh,
the
yep.
floodgates
So
are open. So
great point. Great point.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just really, it's gonna change for us, but we just don't know if it will change, to our benefit, our detriment.
Right.
It may become wilder than it already is. And believe you me, forget pre-existing social media platforms. There's going to be a new Twitter clone of some sort every day trying to get people to come over to their new app or site. So it's about to get crazy. So soon this might not be hip hop Twitter. It might be like, what the fuck is going on hip hop
Facebook?
Well, Mima said that Curtis Blow ain't. Who knows what we're going to be talking about? But again, for those of y'all listening, I thought it'd be interesting, and I honestly important to those of us who choose Twitter as our social platform and the potential changes. Some people have already left Twitter just because he bought it, and what they think is going to happen potentially. So we shall see. We hope and appreciate you if you hit that like button, that subscribe button on this podcast. Obviously, every episode isn't like this. It's about hip hop tweets. If you want to find out, hit the link in the description of this episode. And don't forget to share with people enjoy this kind of content, especially Elon Musk. Can we get a retweet? Just one retweet gets we out of here.
Right, one time.
We quit our jobs. Just one retweet from Elon, we out of here.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? All right, y'all. Until next time, tweet responsibly or pay for that. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.